Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
Glad to be here.
So, if you are listening to this right now, like maybe you're commuting or, just sitting at your desk, I want you to take a second and just think about the people you work with every day.
Yeah, like literally just picture your next Zoom grid.
Exactly. Just look at the grid.
Yeah.
Because chances are you are looking at a total historical anomaly.
It's wild when you actually think about it.
It really is. Like, for the first time ever, organizations are managing up to 5 entirely different generations of human beings at the exact same time.
Which is, it's unprecedented.
Right. You've got the silent generation born as early as, 1928?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Right. And then you've got baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and now Generation Z, and they are all logging into the exact same company network.
Which is just a massive logistical and cultural labyrinth.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, think about it in terms of technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine trying to run 5 completely different operating systems on your company's infrastructure all at the exact same time.
That sounds like an absolute IT nightmare.
Right. You've got different base codes, drastically different user interfaces, and completely conflicting expectations of what a quote-unquote system crash even looks like.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just, cross your fingers and hope the software figures it out organically. You would have to engineer a bridge.
And honestly, that is the perfect analogy for the mission of our deep dive today.
Mm-hmm.
We are unpacking this genuinely fascinating piece of research by Felix Romer. It's from smartkeys.org, and it's titled Multigenerational Teams: Strategies for Bridging Age Gaps at Work.
It's a great piece.
It really is, because the goal here isn't just to figure out how to tolerate your younger or older colleagues. Like, we are looking at the strategic insights, the actual practical tools you need to take this generational friction and turn it into a massive structural business advantage.
Yeah, because that friction is incredibly real.
Oh, for sure.
Before you can optimize this multi-generational network, you really have to understand why the system keeps crashing in the first place.
Right. Where is the bug?
Exactly. And usually the failure points come down to just a massive misalignment in default communication behaviors.
Okay, let's put a tangible scenario on this, because I feel like this happens in offices every single hour of the day.
Oh, yeah. Every minute.
Right. So you have a 24-year-old Gen Z employee, right?
Yep.
And they need a quick approval on a project.
Mm-hmm.
Their default is to just fire off a fast, punchy instant message on Slack or Teams.
Because it's efficient. It's immediate.
Exactly. But then on the receiving end, you've got a 60-year-old boomer or maybe an older Gen X manager. To them, important decisions require the formal documentation of an email, or at least the nuance of a phone call.
Right.
So when they get that single-line Slack message, they don't see efficiency at all. They see lack of respect or just a lack of thoroughness.
Yeah, and the fallout from that is what we call missed context.
Missed context. Okay, break that down.
So the Gen Z employee feels micromanaged, right? Because the manager didn't just reply approved. Instead, they called a whole meeting.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, the manager feels the younger employee is just careless. And suddenly you have these unconscious, age-based stereotypes forming.
Just quietly building up in the background.
Exactly. And those quiet assumptions, they start dictating who gets hired, who gets the high visibility projects.
Who gets promoted.
Exactly. It slowly but surely erodes team trust.
Okay, wait. I have to challenge this premise just a little bit here.
Go for it.
Because if you're a busy executive listening to this, you might be thinking, okay, people get annoyed by Slack versus email. Sure. That's just human nature.
Sure.
Is this really a structural business risk, or is it just the classic cliche of older generations complaining about the youth and vice versa?
Well, it becomes a deep structural risk the very moment it impacts institutional memory.
Okay.
Let's look at the flip side of this, like the strategic upside of getting it right.
Right.
If a business simply allows these groups to stay siloed, just relying only on people who communicate exactly like they do, what happens when your legacy experts retire? Oh, they just take it all with them.
Exactly. If your only expert on a critical client account leaves tomorrow, and they haven't effectively communicated their 30 years of nuance to the younger team just because they couldn't stand the digital workflow,
then the business suffers a massive intelligence drain.
Huge.
So it's really about eliminating single points of failure.
Broadly speaking, yes. Because when an age-diverse team actually communicates well, you naturally spread that risk.
Right.
The older generations possess this hard-won, in-the-trenches pattern recognition.
You can't teach that overnight.
No, you can't. And then the younger generations, they possess an incredible agility with new methodologies and new technologies.
Yeah, they're natives to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So combining those two forces, it accelerates problem solving to a level that a homogeneous team simply cannot reach.
Okay, so bridging that gap stops the immediate bleeding and protects the company's knowledge base.
Right. But, I mean, you can't just throw a 25-year-old and a 60-year-old into a conference room, mandate a trust fall, and expect this magical synthesis of ideas.
No, please don't do that.
Right. There has to
Yeah.
be a deliberately engineered infrastructure for how they talk to each other.
Yeah, relying on organic harmony is just a recipe for disaster.
Clearly.
You really need to find parameters, which Rumor's research frames as a meet-in-the-middle strategy.
Meet in the middle.
Yeah, it requires establishing very clear norms.
You know, thinking about this practically, it reminds me of managing traffic on a multi-lane highway.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. Like if everyone drives at whatever speed they want, in whatever lane they want, you're going to get a pileup. You have to establish clear lanes.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine instant messaging, your Slack, your Microsoft Teams as the fast lane.
Okay.
This lane is strictly for urgent matters, quick pings, or a fast yes or no.
Keep it moving.
Exactly. Then you have the middle lane, which is email. This is your steady flow of necessary traffic. Formal decisions, official documentation, summarizing an external meeting.
The heavy lifting.
Yeah. And then finally, you have the carpool lane. This is for complex, high-occupancy topics where nuance just gets lost in text. That's your video calls or your face-to-face sit-downs.
I love that. And taking that highway analogy a step further, the brilliance of this approach is that it doesn't force everyone into a single vehicle.
Right.
You aren't banning the older manager from using email, and you aren't deleting the younger employee's instant messenger.
No one's taking away your Slack.
Exactly. You are simply agreeing as a team on the specific purpose and the speed limit of each tool.
Which eliminates that quiet panic of, I emailed them 20 minutes ago. Why haven't they responded?
Exactly that, because you set a standard. You say, okay, Slack messages require a response within 2 hours, but emails have a 24-hour SLA.
Oh, service level agreement. Got it.
And you also implement calendar hygiene to protect deep work.
Calendar hygiene. I need some of that.
We all do. You establish no meeting windows, or you require an agenda before any calendar invite is even accepted.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, it really caters to the varying energy levels and the working styles of different life stages.
And it sounds like a dream for anyone suffering from constant notification fatigue, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
But, okay, if you have the lanes painted and the traffic is flowing, how do you make sure the drivers are actually okay?
Right.
Because the research brings up the absolute necessity of feedback loops. Things like short pulse surveys, regular one-on-ones, team rituals.
Yes.
But there was one specific tactic that stood out to me in the article.
Oh.
And that was rotating the meeting facilitator. Why is that such a game changer?
Oh, that one is fascinating. It all comes down to the psychology of corporate power dynamics.
Okay, unpack that.
So in most standard meetings, the most senior person, who is often the oldest, dictates the pace, the tone, and ultimately the conclusion.
Yeah, the highest paid person's opinion wins.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
by rotating the facilitator to, say, a junior team member one week and then a mid-level manager the next,
You're shifting the dynamic.
you are temporarily suspending the traditional hierarchy.
Wow.
It forces the loudest voices to practice active listening, and it gives the quieter employees the sanctioned authority to actually guide the conversation, clarify the tone, and pressure test ideas.
In a psychologically safe environment.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've fixed the communication channels. Boomers and Gen Z are finally talking without frustrating each other.
Hooray.
Right. But what exactly should they be talking about?
Good question.
Like, how do we get them to actually share their expertise? Because the traditional model is purely top-down.
Yeah.
The older senior executive bestows their wisdom upon the young, grateful junior employee.
Yeah, well, that one-way street is completely obsolete.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. The current landscape demands reciprocal mentoring. It's a continuous, two-way loop of knowledge transfer.
Okay.
The senior employee provides the client nuance, the industry context, and that seasoned judgment. But simultaneously, the junior employee flows knowledge upward.
Oh, so they're teaching too?
Exactly. They're sharing tactical digital shortcuts, emerging software trends, or just new efficiencies in workflow.
Okay, I'm going to throw a massive reality check at you here.
Let's hear it.
Reciprocal mentoring sounds fantastic in theory.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I am a 55-year-old director of sales and I have been closing million-dollar deals for 3 decades, human ego is a very real barrier.
Very real.
Right. Am I really going to sit down and let a 23-year-old lecture me on how to use AI, prompt engineering, or like TikTok for business?
Yeah.
How does a company actually force this to work without people getting super defensive?
That's the key. You don't force it, you reframe it.
Reframe it how?
Because the moment you frame it as a lecture, ego takes over immediately.
Right.
Instead, successful companies frame this as collaborative problem solving.
Ah,
You pair them up on a specific low-stakes project where both of their skill sets are visibly necessary to cross the finish line.
so they have to rely on each other.
Exactly. The senior leader realizes they need the junior's agility to execute the task quickly. And the junior realizes they need the senior's strategic vision to make the task actually matter.
That's brilliant.
The mentoring just happens organically in the trenches of the work.
That makes a lot of sense. It completely removes that awkward classroom dynamic.
Exactly.
But scaling that across a massive organization requires more than just clever pairings, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, having a few lucky duos sharing brilliant insights at the water cooler is great, but it doesn't transform a company of 5,000 people. You have to systematize the learning.
Which requires a robust, blended learning infrastructure.
A blended learning.
Right, because people don't just learn by reading a massive, dusty manual anymore.
Thank goodness.
A 20-year-old might prefer a snappy 3-minute video tutorial, while a 50-year-old might prefer a detailed written standard operating procedure that they can reference later.
Yeah, give me the PDF.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to offer a mix of modalities: videos, text, and live, hands-on practice.
Yeah, and the text specifically highlights centralizing these learning paths on software platforms like WorkRamp.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you put all this institutional knowledge into one central hub, you can actually track progress.
Yes.
And more importantly, you can tie that continuous learning directly to an employee's career goals.
That's the real trick.
It incentivizes team members to document their individual tips and tricks in a shared space, which turns personal know-how into a permanent company asset.
And the return on investment there is just profound.
I bet.
When you build these internal pipelines through reciprocal mentoring and blended learning, you drastically reduce the company's reliance on expensive external hires.
Oh, because you're growing your own talent.
Exactly. You are constructing your future leadership bench using the resources you already have simply by unlocking those knowledge silos between the age groups.
Okay, but none of these communication frameworks for software platforms will survive if the overarching company policies are just rigid and outdated.
No, they'll completely fall apart.
Right. If your human resources policies only cater to a 30-something with young kids, you are going to alienate your 60-somethings and your 22-somethings.
Absolutely.
You have to redesign the employee value proposition, or EVP.
Yeah, a strong EVP in a multi-generational workplace signals value to every single life stage.
What does that look like practically?
It means offering a menu of benefits rather than a fixed plate. You balance wellness initiatives, learning stipends, robust paid time off, and long-term financial planning programs.
Gotcha.
But really, the cornerstone of all of this is equitable flexibility.
Okay, let's talk about that flexibility.
Okay.
Because the concept of flexible pathways in the article is huge.
It really is.
We aren't just talking about, letting people work from home on Fridays. We are talking about major structural shifts,
Yeah.
like phased retirements.
Yes, phased retirements are brilliant.
Think about the traditional retirement model. A boomer works until a Friday afternoon, has a slice of cake, and walks out the door taking 30 years of institutional knowledge with them.
A massive brain drain.
It's massive. But with a phased retirement, they transition to a 4-day week and then maybe a 3-day week over a couple of years.
Right.
They stay engaged, they mentor the next generation, and the company doesn't suffer a shock to the ecosystem.
Exactly. It allows people to adapt to life changes, whether that's caregiving for a parent, managing health reasons, or simply wanting to wind down without stalling their careers abruptly.
Yeah.
And the execution of this flexibility, it looks completely different depending on the specific industry environment.
Right, because managing this on a fully remote tech team is totally different than managing it in a physical space.
Oh, completely.
For remote teams, distance naturally erodes relationships if you aren't hyper-vigilant.
You really have to be intentional.
You need predictable, synchronous touch points, times when everyone is online together,
Okay.
combined with digital communities to maintain the culture.
Mm-hmm.
But the example from the research that absolutely fascinated me was the healthcare setting.
Oh, the clinical environment is the ultimate high-stakes microcosm of this generational dynamic.
It really is.
You have older clinicians who have spent decades relying on deep historical clinical experience.
Right.
They often prefer one-on-one handoffs and verbal updates because, to them, patient safety is about nuance and thoroughness.
Absolutely.
Then you have younger medical staff who favor instant messaging, rapid technological adoption, and quick digital triage.
And the stakes are literal life and death.
Literally.
If a tech company rolls out a bad software update, a website goes down for an hour. If a hospital rushes a new tech rollout, patient care is compromised.
Exactly.
You can see why rapid tech adoption feels absolutely terrifying to a veteran nurse.
It is entirely rational apprehension.
Yeah.
So how does a healthcare system bridge this gap without compromising safety?
Tell me.
They pair the older clinician with a tech-savvy younger staff member to co-pilot new initiatives.
Okay, so applying that reciprocal mentoring.
Exactly. Let's say the hospital is rolling out a massive change to its electronic health records, or EHR system.
Massive headache, usually.
Oh, always. But here, the older clinician evaluates the change to ensure the clinical workflows make sense and patient safety standards are uncompromised.
Right.
Meanwhile, the younger staff member navigates the technological agility, the interface changes, and the digital execution.
So they cross-pollinate their strengths.
In real time,
Yeah.
in a very high-stakes environment.
Wow. Which brings us to the ultimate accountability question.
Let's have it.
If I am a CEO or a CFO listening to this, and I'm looking at my bottom line, I'm thinking, okay, communication lanes, reciprocal mentoring, phased retirements. This all sounds lovely.
Yeah.
But how do I know this is actually driving business efficiency and isn't just an incredibly expensive feel-good HR exercise? How do we measure the ROI?
You demand evidence.
Okay.
You track very specific key performance indicators, or KPIs. First, you take your existing workforce data and you segment it by age groups.
Break it down.
Right. You aren't just looking at overall company turnover, you track retention rates by cohort. If your Gen Z employees are leaving at twice the rate of your Gen X employees, your environment is structurally misaligned, and you are bleeding hiring capital.
You're also looking for disparities in promotion equity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you only promoting the people who favor formal email communication because that's what leadership prefers?
Wow. Yeah.
If so, you are artificially capping the careers of high-performing employees who just operate differently.
That makes total sense.
Furthermore, you analyze the uptake of your learning platforms and mentoring programs. These are your leading indicators.
So before the turnover even happens.
Exactly. If participation in cross-generational training drops off, friction is quietly building. You will see the impact of that friction long before people actually start quitting.
So you have to run short-cycle experiments, check those pulse surveys, and most importantly, leadership has to actually publish the insights.
Yes, transparency.
Employees need to see that their input is driving tangible, structural change,
Yeah,
not just disappearing into an HR inbox.
because transparency from leadership is the only mechanism that transforms these initiatives from a temporary, flavor of the month project into a sustained cultural baseline.
So, synthesizing all of this for you, the listener, managing a multi-generational workforce is not about memorizing birth years.
Nope.
It isn't about memorizing generational stereotypes like millennials want avocado toast or boomers want corner offices.
Please, let's leave those behind.
Right. It is about treating your company like a complex, living network that requires deliberate, ongoing optimization.
Mm-hmm.
It is about turning daily habits, like defining clear communication lanes on your digital highway, suspending hierarchy in meetings, and engineering reciprocal learning into repeatable, measurable practices.
Yeah.
Because when leadership consistently applies these strategies, the friction of having 5 generations in the workplace stops being a liability.
Right.
It transforms into a sustained, massive, competitive advantage for both your culture and your bottom line.
Well said. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We spend so much time in the corporate world looking at age merely as a demographic label. It is a box to check on a census form or a diversity report.
Sure.
But what if we completely dismantled that paradigm?
Okay.
What if you stopped looking at age as a label and instead started viewing generational experience as a distinct hard business skill,
Oh, wow.
just like coding in Python, financial forecasting, or digital marketing.
That's a huge shift.
Right. If lived experience is categorized as a hard skill, how radically does that change the way you hire, the way you train, and the way you value the people on your team tomorrow?
That is a phenomenal perspective to close on and a real challenge to any leader listening today. Thank you for tuning into the SmartKeys podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate you joining us as we unpack these massive shifts in the workplace. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, build better teams, and keep turning these insights into measurable action, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening right now.
Definitely subscribe.
And I highly encourage you to read Felix Romer's full article to explore the specific software tools, KPIs, and strategies we discussed today. You can find the direct link to his research right there in the show notes. Until next time, keep optimizing your network.